Thanks for checking out Inside the Huddle with Three Rivers FCA. Here are your hosts, Andrew Hofer and Tom Sigel.
And welcome into this week's episode of Inside the Huddle with Three Rivers FCA. My name is Andrew Hofer. I'm the area director for Three Rivers FCA, joined by Tom Sigel, an ambassador for Three Rivers FCA. Welcome in, Tom.
Good to be here. Excited to have exciting, popular guest with us today.
Yeah, this week we've got former head football coach at Sacred Heart-Griffin, Ken Leonard. Ken is in the Illinois High School Football Coaches Hall of Fame. Has been recognized in many other regards, very highly regarded. But Ken is going to come on and talk about his kids and give us some perspective as we continue our series on coaching your own children. And I know Ken's got a variety of experiences in that regard.
Yeah, we had Coach Leonard up, I believe, 2 years ago for our Coaches Appreciation Dinner and spoke and gave a great message. So excited to have him on and learned that he has three boys that played for him at Sacred Heart-Griffin. And so different perspectives, different situations, I'm sure, and maybe interesting to hear, like from the first one to the second to the third, that transition and what he learned or changed. Because I've gone through that. We had Coach Winkler on the last episode and talked about how he changed, how he coached his son after some things with his daughter. So be an interesting perspective to hear from Coach Leonard.
Yeah, and he again, you mentioned it. He's got a variety of perspectives when it comes to each one being a little bit different, and then also hearing about his transition from coaching into retirement and now serving in ministry with FCA, and hearing his testimony is pretty powerful. So, coming up, we'll have former head football coach and current FCA ambassador Ken Leonard, as he is going to share about coaching your own children. And welcome back to Inside the Huddle with Three Rivers FCA. This week, we are having our guest, Ken Leonard, former head football coach of Sacred Heart-Griffin, SHG, and excited to have Coach on. I know that we had him up speaking at our coaches' dinner a couple of years ago, and a really unique background, perspective, and welcome, Coach.
Well, glad to be here. Glad to be with you guys up in the beautiful north.
Yeah, that's why I was going to let our listeners know for sure. It's a little warmer down there in Naples area than it is up here right now.
I'll be back in Illinois in the middle of April.
Okay.
Sounds
Well,
like
I think
about
we'll
the
be
perfect
warmed
time.
up by then, knock on wood.
Yeah.
I think I hope so.
So, Coach, as we get started, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and your coaching journey?
All right. Well, I came from a small town. I grew up in Chinola, and so my dad owned grain elevators, so I know all about the farm and country life. And I loved growing up in a small town, and I played 4 sports going through high school. I was fortunate enough to, I think, letter 11 times, so it wasn't a real big town, but I went out for everything. I was a quarterback, point guard, a catcher. I was busy all the time playing sports, and it was a great way to grow up. You're out running around. Even I think one of the things that really helped me as far as a coach, and I knew I wanted to be a coach right from the beginning, because we had a park right across the street. Everybody, you had to make up your own games. Parents weren't involved in anything, so you were in charge, and I enjoyed that, and I enjoyed having a ball in my hand, and God blessed me with something I love to do, and so I never had to do a day of work in my life. And I started played college football, and I took 2 years off before my dad lost the grain elevator. The elevator burnt down, and so we lost everything. And I had 5 siblings, and my dad was a World War II vet, and I mean, great man, great husband, great father, great supporter. But things were tough. Um, I had good Catholic family at the time. I had a brother that was 10 years older than me. 8 years older than me, and a sister 6, and then a sister that was 2 years younger than me, and then a brother that was 14 years younger than me, and a sister 10 years younger than me. So we had spread out family, but it was kind of neat. I was a part of all of them. Um, and, my dad just told us, be the best you can be. And we went to church, the catechism and all that good stuff. But wasn't until I was 38 that I come to know Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. And that changed my life, because before that, my goal was always to win a state championship and just win, win, win. And after that, perspectives changed quite a bit. And
Absolutely.
So that's my story. That's my background. Now there's a lot more to it. I lost my wife. I've been married 41 years, 2017, to breast cancer. So that was a tough time, but a good time for me, in that my best 2 years of my marriage was my last 2, because I finally took care of her instead of her taking care of me. And that because she took care of me, a coach's wife, 3 boys, and so we're talking about today. And even though I'd come to know Jesus, I was still very competitive and very focused on coaching a football team and doing the things. I was also athletic director, so very busy, but just had a great life. And I couldn't. First job was Shinoa. My first head job was Gridley High School. Neither one of them are in existence anymore. I said I got the Gridley job because nobody else would take it. There was 88 kids in the whole school my last year there, and we had 18, and I still thought I was coaching University of Illinois, because I loved it. And if we didn't run out of kids, I'd have never left a small town. And then I got the job. It was just a God thing. I got the job at Griffin High School. And then from there, I stayed for 40 years. And I was a head coach for 43 years in high school.
Well, you brought up our topic a little bit, and I know we could talk about a variety of things, probably for hours here. But we're in a series right now talking about coaching your children, and for all different levels. We've talked about youth sports and high school sports and college sports, and so you're the final guest on this topic for this series. So tell us a little bit about your experience, and how many children of yours that you did coach.
So we adopted Philip, and when he was 9 years old, and we got him. He's African American. Again, he was in foster care, and my wife kind of fell in love with him. She was teaching and had him, and yeah, 9 brothers and sisters. None of them same father. Mom was in prison. He just bounced around, and he was a handful. He was a great kid. My boys loved him, and so we brought him into our family. And he was it was not easy. I mean, it was an adjustment. He was a great kid, but you bounced around for a long time, so he was a handful to coach. But he was very good. He was very appreciative of things, but you really had to show him a lot of discipline, and he was a very good athlete, but it was a learning experience for us. And Derek, as you know, Derek's a pretty successful coach, and he was always on the sidelines with me, and as both of my other boys were too. And so I knew Derek was going to be a coach from the get-go. He had a lot of the traits that I had. You could just tell he was focused. He listened. He never, I mean, he was always kind of the quarterback, the point guard, catcher. He liked being in charge, and he just had it. He really just loved sports too. And in fact, we had to get on him about his grades sometimes because he took after his father and really cared about athletics and the academics at times. But he did good. I mean, he had it easy in school, so he didn't apply himself enough times. And he was a quarterback, of course. And then my youngest son, Bradley, he was a overachiever, hard worker, wanted to be quarterback. You know, he wanted to be just like his older brother, especially his older brother, Derek. And he was a good athlete, but not quite the athlete the other two, but probably a much harder worker than the other two. And so, because the other two had a little bit more natural ability. So they were all different. And I coached them some, and I coached them in little leagues and stuff. And I think that because of my coaching background and because of, my makeup, I made sure they were very organized in little league, but I never got too involved, and I didn't. I thought, little leagues and, JFL and all that good stuff was great. And but I tried to teach them fundamentals and do more practice than just game, and worry about how far they went, all that, because, like I tell the other parents, which they didn't listen to me a lot, times, they had dreams of their own. It's not about what they are, fifth graders, sixth graders, seventh graders. It's about what the fundamentals they learned, and then also the discipline they get to become a great athlete. And it's all about work ethic, and but it's not about traveling all over the world and getting a scholarship in the fifth grade.
Okay, coach. Now you could get me on a topic where I could go for hours talking about youth sports these days, but we won't go there. But I know exactly what you're talking about. And I
So
wholeheartedly agree.
I was a proponent of youth sports for sure, but I tried not to get too caught up in it. But
Yeah.
when it's your own flesh and blood, yeah, you can get caught up in it. You
Yep.
see it. I've got some grandkids right now, and it's and they're all different, and especially when you have a grandson or a son that's very talented, and you just got to be careful of not getting too caught up in scholarships and all that. So
exactly. So, coach, you had 3 opportunities to go through it. I had 2. My boys were in different circumstances with when they came up to varsity and what we had coming back. Also have different personalities. So, did you learn from each step, or how did each of those experiences go for you? Like the positives and the struggles. I know
oh,
that we all know that our boys go through it, but we can't really speak for them. But I'm sure that'll kind of work in as well. Of the coach's son's always getting this or getting that type of thing.
oh yeah, and and I think it's even more complex sometimes again, it all ended up. Derek was the quarterback at the end. Was the only quarterback. 2 of the 3 started as quarterbacks in high school, but Derek was the one that was the quarterback. And so that was a little tougher because quarterbacks are next to the coach, and it's kind of hard at times. And sometimes I let some of my other assistant coaches coach them when they got out there. Philip was a DB, wide receiver, little guy, tough, quick. He was the personality of the whole team. I mean, we had a really good teams. That was in the 90s. That was And 94, it was a better team than 95 when he was a senior, but 94 on paper was better. 95 ended up better. We went to the state championship. Philip was a handful because he tested discipline, and he probably was suspended more than any other player that I've ever had because he lived in my house. And so I knew, hey, he come, and my other two sons, they saw Philip, and I think they learned from him, and we didn't have the issues with the other two like we did Philip, because Philip was, again, his upbringing, it was a constant battle. But he got better. I mean, and he come to know the Lord. And then but it was, and my wife, when they come in on Friday nights, Saturday nights, or whenever, they had, before they went to bed, the first thing they had to do was come in, and she was awake, and kiss her on the lips. And so if you were doing something wrong, she was going to know it, because she didn't smoke, she didn't drink. So not that we were, but we just, kept them in check, and Philip tested the line.
And was there also that in the back of your mind, the pressure that you're almost harder on your boys, and that was why he was suspended more?
No question. At first you were, because, you wanted to set the example, but then I kind of backed off of that a little bit, in that I wanted to treat them just like I treated everybody else as it went on. So with Derek, about halfway through his junior year, that's when that clicked in, that I kind of got off of that deal, because I heard a coach way back, coach at Marquette in basketball, the old boy, I can't think of his name now. McGuire, way back, his son. He said, that's, just like, and it's so true. I'm with Derek and Bradley every day. I mean, I talk to him every day now for the rest of my life. And if somebody was better than my sons, they were going to be the player. If somebody was as good, my son probably would have been the player, because you know what? That's my son. And I mean, I don't mean that. Now, if it's, one person's better than the other, it helps the team more. And I never, ever. So Bradley was the one that thought he was a quarterback. His mom might even thought he was a quarterback. But I said, no, we got a kid that's better than you. And you're going to be it. And he was a tough kid, and he was a free safety at DB. And so it was easy for me, because I coached the offense more. I mean, I was the offensive coordinator, one of the head coach, and I had a defensive coordinator and defensive coaches, and they took care of that. So Bradley and Philip was easy, because I was the head coach, but they were with other coaches all the time. Derek was with me. It was me and Derek, through the offense. So that's right or wrong. And I didn't do that until about halfway through Derek's about third game of his junior year. I remember over at Jacksonville, we had a close game. We won. And, Derek's sophomore year, a lot of people, the coaches wanted Derek to be the quarterback, but I knew something with that team was we were better off with another one of the seniors, and there was twin brothers, and I went with the twin instead of Derek. And again, all the coaches on my staff said, no, you need to go with Derek. I said, no, this team is better off with Ryan as our quarterback, and Derek will be there in case we need him. And we got the state championship, got beat. But Derek came in and played really well and learned a lot. but it had nothing to do with Derek being a quarterback, or I mean, my son or not. It was just, I felt his time wasn't quite ready. And then his junior year, after I said like third, he was really had a good junior year, but he's having some issues a little bit. First couple games, one coach was trying to change his arms, how he threw, and I stepped in and said, "Nope, you know what? The ball's getting there. He's completing it. He knows what he's doing." He so so I remember taking him off the bus, and we're taking him home, just me and him in the car from Jacksonville, having a long talk, and just said, "You just got to relax, calm down, and just play. Don't worry about being making me happy, making everybody happy. You just got to go play. You're a very good player, and the rest is history." And so, and we did, and things, we didn't win a state, but we had great seasons with Derek and his teams. So, and it was great. And Derek just knew it. He always wanted to call every play, which he does a pretty good job of. But he just always had that in him, being
Mm-hmm.
But and then and Bradley was just a tough free safety that loved football, and Derek went on to play college football, and Bradley went on to get a degree in business, and he visited my brother, my brother was very successful in business. He went to Australia with my mom and dad. My brother was president of Mars Candy Bar Corporation, and he's very successful. My older brother, he played at Eastern. So Bradley kind of followed after him. So he got into the insurance business, and he makes more than Derek and me ever made. But, that's what he enjoys, and Derek's doing the correct thing. Unfortunately, with Philip was, oh God, it ended up great. We got the state championship. Philip was a handful, like I said, but he was the team captain. He was a leader on defense, tough. He ended up great. He was very, very successful as he went after. He wasn't a college student. He went there and played for a minute, but just that wasn't him. Got out. He could sell an ice cube to an Eskimo. And unfortunately, though, when he was 22, he was killed in a car accident. But he knew Jesus Christ as his Lord and Savior, and and so we know where he's at.
So, Coach, you've mentioned a variety of experiences and talked through the differences between your three sons. If you had to narrow it down, what was the biggest challenge that you had with coaching your own children?
I think at times letting other people that I knew that were coaches, let them go through life and have their successes and failures without me getting involved too much, and me being the athletic director, not overstepping and letting things go. Now, if I needed to, I would, but I really didn't ever need to, and just letting them go through tough times, and not come in when I know that, hey, they made mistakes and they screwed up, just for them to learn from them, not for me to be there as a cushion, and I could get them out of things that maybe they didn't need to get out of, as far as good and bad. And then just be happy for them. And that wasn't easy. That wasn't easy, being in the background and not overstepping. Because when you're the athletic director and you're the boss and you're the head man, people are intimidated. And I said, listen, you're coaching them. You do what you think's best. And now, and We all have wives. And so sometimes moms were a little bit more protective than dads. And as far as cushioning their blows, but she did a great job of just listening to them and then just bringing them back at home and not talking to them at home about football and more about what they care about outside of football sometimes or any sports.
Yeah, I think that's always a tough thing because we bring it home with us. Well, now the other kids are at their own house, but
Yes.
your boys are there, and I know that as much as I tried, it was tough, but sounds like especially maybe with Derek or maybe all 3, my boys, I'm watching film in the basement. Oh, they just drift down. So you try
Yeah.
to keep football away, but they're kinda drawn to it too. So did you imagine you had some of those
Oh, no
issues?
question. And that was fine. And and both. I mean, they were all different. I mean, Philip really wasn't. He probably didn't watch a lot of film. But Derek was 100% into football and whatever sport he was in, but especially football, and he loved it. And that's what he wanted. And shoot, when he was, I'd take him over again, going over to having the opportunity to go to school, shoot baskets, throw the ball, because we have our own gym space. I lived a block from the school, so my goodness,
Hmm.
we walked there every day, and that's where they grew up. And so now you're over there, have the film room, you had everything. I mean, Derek stayed in that watching games, and he just loved that. And when he was 5 years old and in grade school and stuff, we had to get on him, even in high school. They'd be taking notes. Well, Derek could be making up plays, X's and O's. He's got, that's just him. His mind was that way. He wanted to, see what can we do here? What can we do there? And just, I've still got some of their paperwork and my grandkids' paperwork of plays they made up when they were 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, X's and O's. So that's, instead of coloring books, we did X and O
Well,
books.
I found out the hard way too, and I don't know, Derek was before Huddle or whatever, but, when your kid's texting me something about the scouting report because he's in 3rd hour and he's watching Huddle on his phone, and you have to tell him, "Pay attention in class."
We didn't have that.
Yeah.
We had,
So he was just drawing them up, but now it's dangerous because they can just get on their phone and just watch film when they should be paying
well,
attention in
yeah,
class.
the DVDs with Derek and, I went through it all. Shoot, when I was Shinoa, uh, we had to go down to the bus station or drive it to Peoria or Chicago to get the film developed. So I had reel to reel.
Oh.
So I started it all from that all over.
Yeah.
So transitioning a little bit, over the last couple of years, you have stepped into a role of being an ambassador with FCA. Tell us a little bit about why you're doing that and what doing that has meant to you.
Well, when I come to know Jesus as my Lord and Savior, and which, that just praise him and give him all glory because, again, my wife died. She's in heaven. She come to know the Lord. Philip, my son, come to know the Lord. My boys all know the Lord. Their families now. And before that, I went to church, but I didn't have a relationship with Jesus as a Lord and Savior. And so that FCA was the backbone of my Christian growth. Brian McKenzie, I don't know if you know
Oh
Brian.
yeah.
Brian, FCA, of course, and then Kevin Elliott. He was in. He was a huddle leader with me when we first started back in the mid '90s. FCA camp over at Marshall, Indiana, And so I was FCA. Brian was my guide through it. One of my real big disciples, and he's the guy that just brought me up through it. And God put him in Springfield, thank God. And it was just a perfect timing because I got on his tails and rode him, and he was just such a great role model and godly man for me. And that was my rise. And then from there, and what God put in my heart from the very beginning. And again, I was and again, there's Christians in all religions. And here I'm in the Catholic Church, office next to the bishop and everybody, and and again, priests and nuns and everything else. And here I was a born again Christian that was a Catholic, and my whole family was Catholic, and now I become this born again Christian. And at that, it was a little strange, and I think for a while I almost wasn't going to do it because I felt the devil was the one chirping in my ear, you're going to get fired, you're going to do this, you're going to, but he put it in my heart, hey, Jesus, it's just Jesus. And so that changed me, and I got involved in FCA. I brought FCA and got kids involved in school. The priests and nuns were great. The nuns were, God, they were such good Christian people. They loved Jesus. And I just said, hey, I just give them Jesus. I didn't get into theology of anything. I just got into the Bible and to Scripture, and to that's it. And I didn't get into theological background with it. And but God put on my heart that I needed to be bold for Him and no fear. And that's what I did. And I fought him sometimes. I don't know if you all went through it. Like talking on this is easy talking about Jesus, but on the radio or something with somebody interviewing you, or after a championship game, win or lose, you bring up Jesus, they back away. That's when you have to bring Jesus up and show that, hey, I'm a Christian, and the most important thing in my life is Christ. And that's what I came across to my boys. And I remember this was a great thing that happened to me. A terrible thing and a great. When Philip died, and he was killed, and he came back. And I remember the first time I saw Derek and Brad. They were coming up. Derek was over at Illinois College, and it got Bradley out school. Good morning, I found out, and I said, "Game time, guys. This is what I did." Because I remember Derek would say to me, "Dad, I know you love Jesus too, but can you just kind of calm it down a little bit sometimes?" And I told him, I said, "This is what it's all about, guys. This is why Jesus is so important, because Philip's in heaven now, and we don't know the time or place, and that we don't." And so that was important for me to just get the message out and to give it to people, and if they can accept or reject, it's not up to us to make them believe. And but even now, I do character development out of Rochester. Derek does FCA, but I do character development once a week, and I always bring Jesus in there somewhere, not preaching Jesus, but knowing Jesus. I tell them that's the most important thing in my life, but that's a choice you could make. Only that's not, so I don't overdo it, but I always put it out there.
No. I appreciate you sharing, Coach. And obviously, the great job of tying in how faith and the walk with all three boys and through tragedy and everything has kind of tied together. And um, yeah, just the interesting perspectives of the situations and how each kid's different. It was really enlightening today, I thought. So
Yeah,
appreciate you
because
sharing.
I think, yeah, your kids are not, they're not cookie cutters. They're all different, and you go through them. You just have to love them, give them the love of Jesus. And He's there for us, right? We weren't perfect, and uh, and they're not going to be perfect, but I don't judge them on the value of being a football player, a basketball player, or whatever. I remember. I'll let you guys. I know you have maybe have other questions, but I remember when I retired, I took pictures. We took pictures out on our field, and they called Ken Leonard football field, and they got a sign up there, Ken Leonard Field. So we took pictures under that, and I told all the grandkids, and I told them, I said, "Got to do that." I said, "That's great. I was honored." But I said, 10 years, people are going to say, "Who is Ken Leonard?" I said, "But they're going to know who Jesus is." And I said, "You know what? Whatever you do, be the best you can be. But that's not who you are. You know, it's what you do." So there is, I try to get that across my character development. Football is not who you are as a man, but and to be others, to be the best you can be. If that's how Jesus wants us. But
Yeah.
Well, Coach, I couldn't agree more. And again, appreciate your perspective and you taking some time for us. Love hearing your stories. Again, we could probably talk about a variety of topics for hours, but for our listeners' sake, we'll wrap it up. But thank you again for coming on and for sharing with us and talking about some of your own personal journey, your coaching journey, and then specifically coaching your kids, and now diving into the ministry world with FCA.
well, thank you for having me. And again, anytime we can raise Jesus up, that's what we need to do, and get more people that come to know Him. Just we don't know who that person is. It's one.
That's right. So we'll
Yep.
we'll quote Brian McKenzie here as we close and tell everyone to give him heaven today, right?
Yeah. Well, I got his shirt on.
Do
Je- Jesus
you?
won.
There you go. There you go.
Yep. All right. Thanks again, Coach, for being on.
Hey, thank you guys.
Well, we really appreciated Coach Leonard's time and him being able to come on and share about his experiences in coaching his three sons and talking about his faith journey and how he's using that now and coaching, kind of coaching the coach, coaching the heart now. It's a little bit different than what it was, but in a lot of ways still the same. So, Coach mentioned a lot of differences in coaching his three children and some of the positives and negatives to that. And it was really interesting to hear his perspective on each child and how they were all a little bit different and how he had kind of had to coach them a little bit differently.
Well, I think that's what we have to understand as coaches or as leaders in any field, that we treat everybody fairly, but we don't treat them all the same. And we coach kids fairly, but you don't coach them all the same because they're all a little bit different. I think the standards need to be there for everybody.
Yep.
And it's interesting, like he kind of had the son. The first one was the most challenging, it sounded like. Um, Sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes, you talk to parents even, well, it was easy. The oldest one was this, and then the younger one was the challenge. So he said, how he had to, Philip, I believe, was the oldest one, um, got suspended more than anybody else and had to hold him to those standards. And then, like you said, each kid was different. Their spot on the team was different. And going through that as a parent, coaching them was an interesting perspective, like you said.
Yeah, it's not an easy process by any means, but just listening to him, it sounded very rewarding. I think both of us can relate to that. Where, yeah, there's certainly challenges to it, but if you have standards and you have fairness and you're able to kind of separate home and sport to a degree, then it can be incredibly rewarding. And you hear Coach talk about all of his children having a relationship with Christ, and then seeing their families have a relationship with Christ. And, so all of the football stuff and all of the coaching stuff was great, but look what the fruit that came from that. And now there's families that are changed for hopefully generations to come.
Yes, and to see the tragedy that they had to deal with, but how that faith and that background helped them through that. Not only him, but the family. Those situations was something that kind of goes into the. I have not read the book, but I know that they have the book out, Victorious. And it's around faith, but the family, and it started with the rivalry between Ken coaching and Derek, the Rochester Sacred Heart-Griffin, and meeting up in the playoffs and all those type of things, is something that when he spoke at our event a couple of years ago, that he really went into some of the aspects of the book, which was very interesting.
Yeah, I'd highly recommend the book. It's certainly a story. It's really a testimony of how faith shaped his family, and how faith shaped both the football programs that not only he served in, but his son at Rochester served in. And it's a pretty special story. I think definitely encourage coaches of any sport to take time to read it. I think at the very least should come away being encouraged and emboldened to be bold in your faith.
Yeah. Well, and I know that a number of opportunities, and who knows, maybe we'll have another episode pop up with coaches coaching their sons or daughters, but because there's a number of them, out there that we could choose from. But it was fun doing it. We appreciate Coach Leonard coming on today, and just wrapping this little segment up. I think we also turn our focus coming up April 10th, our Vision Gala in Bettendorf at Riverfront Convention Center. We're excited for that. Check the website that we have listed below under events if you're interested in attending. It's a free night. Be our guest from FCA to come out and see what's going on and to highlight all the work that's being done in our area. But anything else, Andrew, as far as in closing?
No, appreciate Coach Leonard and hearing from him, and would definitely love to have as many of our listeners as guests as possible at the gala. It's a special night, and it's fun, and it's a great way to celebrate all of the things that the Lord has accomplished in our area through the FCA ministry over the last year. And just appreciative of everyone who's in prayer and supporting the ministry and volunteering with the ministry. And you guys are appreciated, and you guys are making a difference. So thank you so much.
Yep. And like or subscribe. We're on Spotify and YouTube. The more views, the merrier. Not to watch the two of us, but we've had some great guests and great topics, and we're just trying to spread the gospel through this podcast. A couple amateurs taking it on, but the more views and shares and stuff, I think that's what we're here for, to get that out. So for Andrew, closing off this episode of, we appreciate you listening to Inside the Huddle with Three Rivers FCA.
Thanks for watching this episode of Inside the Huddle with Three Rivers FCA. If you have ideas for content or interview suggestions, just reach out to Tom or Andrew. Thanks again for checking out Inside the Huddle with Three Rivers FCA.